Hi guys and welcome to new episode, and today I have a very special guest again, and that is Beth McKenzie. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm so good. I've been so excited as I told you
Mhm.
about this. Like this is so special to me. I'm just so excited to talk to you because you're such a smart person, especially after the things I've read that you posted, and I agree with almost like everything. Like you're so smart
Oh
and
my
well
gosh, thank you.
spoken, and I just
Thank
can't
you.
wait to talk to you about music and other stuff as well.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm so excited. I love this podcast. I can't believe I'm on it. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. So we can get started with your earliest memory of falling in love with the music. How has that shaped your career?
So I think the earliest memory I have, like solid memory, is probably when I started playing the flute. When I was like 8 or 9, I think. And I remember going to church with my parents, and they had like a live band near the altar, and there was a woman playing the flute, and it was just like so cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to play that. Um, and then my parents kind of like, okay, like thinking I was gonna give it up like straight away because I was like 8 or 9 and I had so many different interests. Um, and no, I started playing it instantly, and I just remember being obsessed with it from the second that I started playing it, and yeah, I that's my earliest memory, I think, and that's the first time I really fell in love with music, I think.
Oh, I love this so much because I myself play on piano since I was 4.
Wow.
But my grandma played when she was young, and then she was like, I've and my mom like cannot play anything. She can't sing like anything like that. She doesn't have that
Mm.
musical ear. But my grandma was like, I need someone to continue
Yeah.
this. So she was like, you should do that. And I'm playing since I was 4. I finished like the music school and everything. And I think
Wow.
that also shaped me as a person, but also
Mm.
like my love for music and doing this. So I can pretty relate to that.
Yeah. Would you ever play music would you play the piano professionally, or do you prefer just keeping it kind of like for yourself?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Um, so I'm playing for myself, and sometimes I sing for myself.
You have to show me.
And I was in because I'm going to like an evangelical kind of school, so
Ooh.
like religious kind of school, and we have band there. So I was playing in band for a longer time, but nothing like professionally. And I went to uh some like competitions, but never actually like tried to pursue it because
Mm.
mostly like scared to share that. I think I have one video of me on my Instagram like playing piano, but I've never thought about it that way. I mean, obviously, if someone like asked to play somewhere or for them, I would be more than happy. But yeah, I never thought about it much.
I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep that in mind, and I'm definitely gonna go and find that video on your Instagram later.
Okay, I can send it to you. It's very
Yeah,
short, but yeah.
yeah, definitely
Um,
send it to me.
and so you're still playing flute? Like, are you evolving this, or did you stop?
So I still play flute. I don't because I trained classically in the flute, but I don't kind of whilst I have that background, and undoubtedly it's like the only reason I'm kind of able to play now. I don't kind of study it classically anymore. I use it mainly as a tool for songwriting, just as like an extra kind of instead of just using like my piano or guitar, it just gives like an extra little element to kind of experiment with melodies. And on two of the tracks on the EP, it has a flute on it, kind of mixed in, so you can't really tell, but it's there. And I really enjoy kind of using it to create pop music, because it's different to kind of what I grew up playing on the flute, which is why I think I like it so much because it's just kind of like a new thing, and it's like kind of like, and I get to write the music as well. So it's not like I'm just playing kind of old music. I get to write the parts and I get to record them on the tracks. So yeah, whilst I don't do it like classically or like, very technically, I still kind of use it for writing and putting on my songs. So yeah.
I love it because whenever I meet someone, they usually go for like piano or guitar, and this is not really common. So I
Mm.
would love you to like play on tour or something.
But you know what? It was a conversation recently, and I think like I will be bringing my flute with me wherever I'm kind of playing, because the good thing about it is it's so small and so easy to bring compared to a guitar or a piano. So I think I'll always just kind of bring it with me and I can kind of just decide in the moment. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll be using it definitely.
I would love to see that. How did growing up in Manchester influence your musical style and storytelling?
I think growing up in Manchester has been such a blessing. It's like it's such a great city, and I think I honestly have taken it for granted. When I was younger, I definitely took it for granted because it was kind of all I've ever known. But kind of not just in music, but kind of culture in general is like right on your doorstep. Manchester is such a diverse city, and there is so much going on all the time, like for music, for film, for fashion, like you name it in the creative industry, like there's something there in Manchester, which I think really has shown me that the world is kind of like the sky's the limit. You can really do what you want to do because you're looking at all these people from different backgrounds doing what they want to do, and it's really inspiring to kind of just be a part of that and know that people aren't gonna kind of want to hold you back because there's such a big community of creatives in Manchester. And I think I definitely took that for granted when I was younger. But now I think I still live in Manchester. I honestly don't want to move outside of Manchester. I love it here. And I think now I'm more grown up and I have been to other places and stayed in other places. When I've come back to Manchester, I've really realized just how like welcoming the creative community is here. So I think that's definitely kind of shaped how I go about working. Yeah, definitely, because it's just such a welcoming kind of community.
That's so interesting to like hear someone say that because I personally come from, first of all, country that is so like unknown,
Mm.
and like the most biggest artist that is here, well, she's not living here, but I saw the other day that you're following her. Her name's Adela, and
Yeah,
she
I love Adela.
and she's from Slovakia, so she kind of like made it, but she also like had to leave to pursue
Mm.
the music and all that kind of stuff. So it's not really like welcoming here. Also, what happens mostly, I was talking with my friend when I went to school on a bus, and we spoke in English, obviously.
Mm.
And there was this old man, and he like jumped on me and was like, I don't want to hear English here, like be quiet. And I just literally like looked at him, and I couldn't give a single fuck about what he was about to say or whatever. But it's just like, why are people so xenophobic and kind of like scared of new things? So I feel like this country and my city as well, I mean, the main city is Bratislava, and that kind of like works there and people are welcoming. But here also, I'm on the other side of the country, and I'm close to like Ukraine, which is kind of like a
Mm.
thing where the war is happening, and I don't know, I
Yeah.
just feel like we're really behind. So hearing something like that is definitely very inspiring to me.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that is so horrible. Someone just yelling at you on the bus. That's insane. But yeah, I think we don't realize how lucky we are here. Whilst there's some challenges of being in there's and undoubtedly there's challenges of being in the north of England. Like it's underfunded 100%, and there are definitely like not as many opportunities as there is in London, but we are, I think we're very lucky with kind of what we do have. And I think I've come to realize that when I hear kind of things from other people, definitely, that whilst it's not perfect, you know, it's a really accepting place, and we're lucky to have that 100%.
Yeah, there's also so many small artists out there in Manchester that I also love, like
Yes.
other ones. So it's great that you can create a kind of like supporting community for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's so many, like, especially in the last, there's probably only the last 3 months, I've connected with so many small artists in Manchester, which is really, really nice because historically there's not been kind of, whilst there's been lots kind of culturally in Manchester for pop music, there hasn't been many people. Lots of people moved to London because, you know, there's just more opportunities there, there's more people there. But in the last like 6 months, there's been so many more kind of creative small artists up here in Manchester, which has been so nice. And connecting with them is just incredible because it's less intimidating kind of when you know there's people in the same place as you doing or trying to do kind of the same things that you want to do. Um, yeah, so I think I really hope we continue with that in Manchester, and I hope more small artists kind of emerge from here. But yeah.
When you're talking about collaboration, I mean, this is not really like about a song, but you're
Mm.
doing a show with other pop girlies just for
Yes.
the record, right? It's called. So
Yeah.
can you tell us something about this?
So I am so excited for this. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. It's been in the planning for a while, since we did like the Northern Pop Girlies hangout in a studio in Manchester in November. And it went so well. Holly, Chloe, and I had so much fun just like getting to sing together and not having to kind of like having each other to support each other, and like our like individual fans were meeting each other and everyone was getting on. It was so lovely. And then it was Holly's idea to do a bigger gig. And just for the record, is hers and her friend Sam's kind of company. And they said, like, yeah, we're going to put on like a full gig with the Northern Pop Girlies. And yeah, they sorted everything out. And here we are. We've got the gig on the 1st of February, and it's going to be so much fun. And it's in the Deaf Institute, which is a really nice venue here in Manchester, and we've all like wanted to play there for ages. So I'm so excited for that. And it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how many more people are there than were at our hangout in November, because I think the three of us have grown quite a bit since November. So it's going to be really interesting to see familiar faces and some new faces, and I'm so happy that I get to do it with Chloe and Holly, because I think just kind of being around other small artists is like, for me, I love it. I find it just really comforting. So I'm so excited, and yeah, that's going to be so fun.
I would sell my soul to go there, but I'm still figuring out my passport to be in London in April and hopefully at other places as well when I graduate. But yes, I have so many friends that are going. Hopefully they will FaceTime me and we can hang out that way. But I'm gonna
Yes.
put a link in the caption so you guys can buy tickets if you're around that area or you can travel. That is definitely
Yeah.
the best experience ever. I'm so excited for you. When I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah, I was so excited. I'm so excited. I hope people come. Oh my god, can you imagine if just nobody came?
No, I'm sure many people will come, especially like because there's three of you and
Yeah.
also so many people like love you because oh my god, I wanted to tell you this, but I started following you. I don't remember where. When I think when I did the episode with Eileen and she mentioned you, and then I checked you out, I listened to your whole discography, and I was like, okay, I get why she loves you so much and how kindly she talks about you. And then I stalked your social media, obviously, and you are just so authentic. And I like how you always say stuff as they are, and you're not trying to milk it or any other way. And I just wish people would be so vulnerable, but also honest with each other as well as you are with your audience.
Thank you so much. That honestly, yeah, that means the world. I think the most important thing to me is to just kind of be myself. And as kind of cliche as that sounds, it's just I want people to kind of feel as though like, they're seeing all parts of me, not just kind of the good parts. And, so people kind of can hopefully feel less kind of pressure to kind of be perfect or be the best all the time, because yeah, I just that's the most important thing for me. I just want people to realize that there's strength in kind of the good and the bad. Um and yeah, I to talk about Eileen, I absolutely love Eileen. She is the sweetest person ever. And I'm so glad that she kind of introduced us to each other. Yeah, she's amazing. I really hope I can make it to her gig in April in London to see her again, because I haven't seen her since September, I think, when she did a gig in Manchester. But yeah, I love Eileen. She is so incredible and she's the nicest person ever. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad as well. Like, it's so amazing. Like, I have such a strong love hate relationship with social media, but
Mhm.
then I go to bed every night, and I'm so lucky that I met so many people through it. So it can be really a blessing in disguise in so many cases.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely the highs and lows, but it's undoubtedly amazing for connecting with and like creating such strong bonds with people.
How's your relationship with social media? How did that change for you since you started music?
Oh, I think that's such a good question. I think being an artist in today's kind of landscape, whether you like it or not, does mean social media. There's not really any way to get out of it. And I think whilst it's difficult and it is definitely a lot of work, kind of creating content, wanting to kind of create content that's authentic, but also having to create content that you think people will like. And, kind of finding that balance is difficult. But I would actually say that I really enjoy a lot of the side of social media, because if it wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to connect. Well, I wouldn't be able to connect with you because we live God knows how far away from each other. I wouldn't be able to kind of hear what people thought of my music. People wouldn't be able to tell me, what they like about it, what their questions are about it. And, people wouldn't be able to kind of share their stories with me and how they relate with my music. And yeah, none of that would be possible without social media. So whilst it's definitely difficult, I'm not gonna pretend that it's not. I I actually really do love it because it allows everyone to be connected, and I think that's a really powerful thing, especially in a day and age where there is so much kind of just violence and upset and disagreements in the world. To kind of have a corner of the internet where people are supporting each other and helping each other and being there for each other is really, really important. And I think that community is so strong, not just for me, but I hope it's also, really good for everyone who's a part of it. Yeah, so social media, it's difficult, but it's worth it, I think.
I couldn't agree more. Is there like an unexpected lesson you've learned since starting your music journey, either during social media or just like in person, like in general, that you've had to deal with?
I think honestly, the most unexpected lesson is probably, I say unexpected, but it's not really unexpected because you kind of hear stories about the music industry, and I'm away from kind of not the social media side with the fans, but the the kind of side of the business part of the industry where people are unfortunately waiting and kind of wanting to exploit smaller, younger artists, for whatever reason. Like you hear about these stories growing up, like even like now, of course, you hear these stories, and I always heard these stories, and I kind of never expected things like that to happen to me, which is why I think it's an unexpected lesson. But I think I've learned that people, unfortunately, in the music industry, there are some people who do not want you to do well, and they do not want to help you. In fact, they kind of they want to exploit you. And I think I've learned that I need to be smart, as nice as it would be to not have to, like, yeah, to not be able to, wait, fuck, what am I trying to say? As nice as it would be to not have to think about those kind of scenarios, that's not something you can indulge in. I think I've learned that you have to be wary, you have to be careful, you have to do your research. And I've learned that more often than not, there is going to be somebody, who maybe doesn't have your interest in mind. And whilst that's really depressing, I think it's an important one for anybody in the music industry to just remember that whilst it is, you know, a, an incredible thing, there are people who don't have your best interest in mind, and you need to kind of look out for yourself and put yourself first in those kind of scenarios.
I literally went to the conversation I had with Eileen as well, and she said something similar, that people support you if you are not better than them. And that's what I learned as well, not just in the music industry, but in general as well. Like
Mm,
when I started my podcast as well, um, people were like so supportive and around me. I mean, on the internet they are, but in real life as well, mm, it kind of like went away, and people don't really acknowledge that part of me. And I feel like that's what's happening in music industry as well, where they will support you and will try to help you, but if you do better than them, then they just don't acknowledge you anymore. So you said it very right, and it is sad. Like, as depressing as it sounds, it is unfortunately true, and people do not talk about it. But I think it's important we talk about it, especially because I feel like it became so popular recently to kind of support small artists, but also there are so many other small artists that are not supported because they're different in other people's eyes. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, for example, people of color, or queer people, or that kind of stuff, and people just get compared to each other, and like, why are we even doing this? Like, this is not a competition at the end of the day. And I think if you're in the same industry as other people, either me doing my podcast or people doing music, like, at the end of the day, I think we should support each other, and that is that kind of society, like small world, is failing us.
yeah, I think that's a really kind of good point. There's a lot of comparison, and I think there's kind of two ways to think about it, from because I was kind of more thinking from the kind of business and like business kind of side of music. But if we look at kind of like the more social media kind of side, the comparison, I feel like it's gotten a lot worse recently. The comparisons between small artists, and to be fair, there's a lot of comparisons between bigger artists as well. I think the comparison is something I really hate, because every artist is unique. And to kind of to kind of pit them against each other when they're like on their own path, and they have their own vision, and they're doing their own thing, and they're being authentic to themselves, to then compare them. I think it disrespects like everyone involved, to be honest. I think it's such a shame that that's happening and it's happening more frequently because it's just not it's just not good for anybody. I struggle to see how it benefits anybody positively. And I wish it wasn't the case. And I hope that we kind of move forward from this and realize that there's no need to kind of compare these artists because, especially now, there's so much room in the music industry. Like, we are so lucky to be artists at the time we're at, I think, because of social media and because there's so many fans out there and there's so many people who want to listen. I think there's more space than ever in the music industry for multiple artists. So I think there's space for everyone, and I hope we're able to kind of see that and stop comparing these artists to each other because they're all amazing, and there's just no need. It doesn't. There's no positives to comparing people.
Couldn't have said it better. How do you feel about cancel culture?
Oh, honestly, I'm a bit terrified of it. it's I. It's. ugh, I think it's such. Yeah, it's terrifying. That's the only word that comes to mind. Is because I don't really understand it. If I'm honest, I haven't done much kind of research into, times where it's happened, what's caused it. I'm not overly kind of educated in the area of what really like is, you know, getting to the bottom of what cancel culture is. But I think it's, yeah, I think it's scary. That's all I've really got to say is I don't really understand it and it scares me.
Yeah, I think we're so defined by some words and opinions of people. And obviously, if you're a bad person and if you fucked up and if you have wrong opinions, then yeah, like fuck you, like be canceled, like I don't care. But I think sometimes we can learn from that kind of mistakes. Like if someone uses a wrong word and they didn't know about it, obviously it's wrong. That
Mm.
doesn't make it any easier, but we're on this earth to learn and to grow and to educate each other. But if you're ignorant, I just talked about it on my Twitter the other day, where I was so mad about people ignoring the issue of the people of color small artist community, where they don't publicly like acknowledge them. And I said that it's okay if we learn from that, but if you ignore this issue and you continue to do the bad thing, then that's on you. And I feel like these people deserve to be canceled, but sometimes it's too much. And yeah, I thought you have a great opinion, so I wanted to hear from you how you feel about this.
Thank you. Yeah, I think with something you said there, like educating, like that is, I agree with that full, like, I think that's so important to kind of be like educating people. Um, and yeah, I guess that's where the kind of why cancel culture is kind of concerning, because I think we maybe, I don't know, I think because we're so kind of online, it maybe we forget kind of how to treat each other and we forget kind of the real issues like you said about the people of color, like the artists who are ignored, whether it's a person of color, a queer person, a woman. I think i think we just kind of need to take a step back and look at these kind of issues, and educate ourselves before we are kind of doing and saying things that are going to upset or offend or just be really damaging kind of to anyone.
I agree. I don't know what to add even more. Like I completely agree, and I hope we can learn in the future. But right now, it's really bad out there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. I'm honestly terrified of the internet.
Your lyrics are deeply personal. Do you ever feel nervous sharing so much of yourself with the world?
I think yes. I think I don't kind of, I feel like I write things that are really personal and I don't kind of, clock that people are going to hear them until they hear them. And then when people hear it, I'm like, "Oh crap. Like why, like that was so personal," and I just kind of shared it without thinking about, you know anything. So I think I don't kind of it doesn't what am I trying to say? I'm just yapping at this point. Let me just form my opinion. Yeah, I think it scares me a bit to be sharing so much of myself, but I also wouldn't kind of change the way I do it because I think for me the most powerful thing about kind of my music is having the opportunity to kind of explore such deeply personal things. I feel like my music wouldn't be my music if I wasn't, making it super personal. But yeah, it definitely makes me nervous, especially when I meet people. And I remember at the Manchester Hangout a couple of months ago, um, I met people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, the lyrics of It Won't Always Feel So Heavy." We were talking about it, and I was standing face to face with people, and I was thinking, "Oh my god, these people have seen the inside of my brain. Like, why did I do this? Why did I let them inside my brain?" But like I said, I wouldn't change it, even though it makes me a bit nervous.
Yeah, I need to talk about the song later on because when I first heard it, you don't even know want to know like how I looked. I was in my room because usually I lock myself up and put on my headphones, and whenever I discover like someone new or an album comes out, I lock myself in the bedroom. It's dark out there. It's just me on the floor in my headphones, and
I love that.
usually my PC for like lyrics if I need them. And I was bawling my eyes out. I couldn't believe this is a real song, especially, everything. I will definitely need to talk about it when we talk about your EP,
Yeah.
but I can't get too deep right now. Mm, how do you kind of like balance vulnerability with relatability in your music in general, or maybe in general, like with social media presence and your personality?
Yeah. I think honestly, I think the the vulnerability kind of is what makes it relatable. I think, or I hope. I think because people often don't kind of show that side of themselves, the more vulnerable side of themselves, they don't we don't have the opportunity to connect on a vulnerable level as much because of how much we kind of, put on a brave face. So I think in being vulnerable, I think that's what actually makes it relatable. At least I hope so. Yeah, at least I hope that's the case. Otherwise, my like theory is way off. But I think that vulnerability and relatability, I think they go hand in hand.
I agree, definitely. Um, Obviously, it's a struggle out there for musicians, but it's worse when you're a woman. Do you,
Hmm.
can you share like your opinion about like being a woman as a musician and constantly also being compared? We're getting back to that, but also having that kind of era and being interesting always and change your appearance and be better every time because if you aren't, then you're not interesting anymore. How do you feel about that?
I think being a woman in in general in general is really difficult for all of those reasons. But when you're in the music industry, I think it adds another level of pressure because like you say, you have to act a certain way, you have to look a certain way, you have to be interesting, you have to be open and relatable, but you can't be too open and relatable. You can't, there's kind of like these ideals that are so strict. Um, and I think honestly, if I would be lying if I said I knew how to navigate everything, and if I kind of had I kind of yeah, I don't have a blueprint to kind of how to deal with that. I think for me, the most important thing is that I do just do what I feel is best for me without kind of listening to other people people who are giving kind of the order like you have to act this way, you have to do this, you have to look like this. Because believe me, I've definitely had my fair share of people in the music industry mainly or actually, now that I'm thinking about it, exclusively older men in the music industry tell me what I need to wear, how I need to act, what I need to say. And I think, unfortunately, when I was younger and kind of more just starting out, I definitely listened to them. They said, you can't wear this. It was like, okay, I'll go put on something else. And, I'm not going to kind of be hard on myself for that because, I was a child and young and had no idea what I was doing. And I just wanted to kind of please everyone. So I kind of just listened. But now it's really important for me to not do that. It's really important for me to stand my ground, tell people what I want and how I want it, and to not listen not only to not listen to when people kind of tell me, things that are definitely inappropriate for them to comment on, but to kind of challenge that and say, why have you said that? That is unfair. I hope, you're not talking to other people like this. And I think with kind of my experience, I think I kind of have a responsibility to kind of speak about this and make sure I'm not just kind of watching things happen because I know that that's what I would have wanted, 3, 4 years ago when I was first starting out with that's what I needed, I think, but to be able to see I needed to be able to see kind of a strong woman kind of saying no, saying that's unfair, don't do this, don't do that, this is what I want. And I don't feel I really had that. So it's really important for me to make sure that I'm taking on that role now.
In what ways do you think the support system or society in general could be better and do better?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. um, I think I think the most important thing is to, and I will say this about any issue. I think the most important thing is to talk about it. Like it's not gonna get better unless we're talking about it and unless we're challenging each other and challenging, people's opinions and people's actions. I think that's what we can do right now is challenge the things that are wrong to kind of, open up the conversation to a wider scale. Because whilst these conversations are being had, it's not, it's not enough. We need more people to be talking about it. So I think that's what we can do is just open the conversation up.
Don't you think the conversations are sometimes tiring? Because for me, example, um, I was involved in a lot of essay competitions, and my latest one I won, which was I was so surprised because it was very like feminine, and I was talking about how women need to be better and do better, and people in my class read it because I read it out loud because my teacher asked me to. And after that, I've had conversation with this one boy in my class, and he said that I just view these things so negatively, and um, that it's not that hard for women out there. I just need to be better and do better. And honestly, I just didn't want to talk about it anymore because I feel like I'm talking to the air and there's no purpose in having this conversation. But also, I do feel better most times when I have conversations, for example, online, because I feel like it's a little better than in person.
Mm.
Um, to kind of have this conversation and people actually realizing your point of view, but how can we kind of like make it better for people to have a mature conversation?
I think, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that that boy said that after an essay. That's insane. Like that is tiring. That's the part that's so tiring because it's kind of like you said, it feels like you're just talking to the air because it does often feel like, you're just saying the same things and nobody's listening. And honestly, I don't know what the answer is. I think it's something I ask myself so often is, how can we do this? And uh, honestly, I don't know. I just to keep all I can say is to keep talking, but uh, yeah, I'm sorry I can't provide any more kind of insight. I'd love to kind of say, yeah, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, but I feel like everything I've tried, you know, is it's a step forward, but it never feels like enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for saying that as well. I mean, we're not really talking much after that. Our opinions are very different, especially in the country I live, very religious. As a person who is I can call myself religious person, but I don't agree with almost everything that's happening in the church. That's why
Mm.
I don't visit it much. And, because I will always stand behind like queer people, because as a person who's trying to figure herself out, it's tough out there. And I just don't feel I would be too welcomed to be in places like that. And he is a very religious person. And I just feel like sometimes people don't want to have open minds in such kind of things. So yeah, it's really tough there, but I hope we can learn from that and that one day he will listen to this and get my point of view. But a girl can only wish sometimes.
One day, we'll get there.
What's your creative process like? Do you start with the lyrics, melodies, or something else entirely?
So I start really with a feeling. I kind of sit down and I kind of just sit with myself and I kind of ask myself, what am I feeling? What's weighing on my mind? What do I need to kind of talk about or write about? And often what I'll do is I'll sit with a blank sheet of paper, whether it be in a notebook or on just like a blank Google Doc on my laptop, and I will just kind of like word vomit everything that I'm thinking and feeling about a subject. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of either sit down at the piano or guitar or flute or anything that I'm kind of feeling a vibe with, and I'll just kind of sit there and I'll just experiment with different melodies, and then I'll kind of bring in a few lyrics from the word vomit that I've written down, and then it kind of just comes together. There's not really too much of a method. I think I kind of just go with whatever I'm feeling at the time. I think that's my main kind of driver, yeah, when I'm writing.
What was the difference making your first songs and then your debut EP? Did that kind of change for you?
Definitely, definitely. Huge, huge, huge shift. I think when it came to my EP, I've been really I've been blessed with having a really great kind of team surrounding me who gave me as much time as I needed to kind of experiment with my style, write loads of demos, experiment with different genres, just do kind of whatever I needed to do to create to create a world where I kind of felt like, oh yeah, this is my style. I've experimented, I've worked on it, I've kind of honed in on it. And that's the main difference, is that I had a good 6 months of just writing, like with an EP like as the end goal, but never to kind of like be like, okay, this song has to be on the EP, this has to do well because, I don't have time to kind of experiment with something else. So that's been the huge difference, is that I have had time to kind of just sit back and write as many songs as I need to. And then I've just kind of handpicked the ones that I feel fit best on the EP.
What inspired the title Does This Make Me a Bitter Woman, and how does it reflect the themes of the EP?
Oh, I love this question. I was so excited when I saw this question. I think the title, you know what, I could probably write a Substack on it. You know what, I might do that. But
Please do.
I think I might. I think the EP is written about so many kind of things that have happened to me in the past and how they still really affect me today. Um, and a few people have kind of said, I'm bitter for this, still talking about things that have happened in the past. And it kind of got me thinking about the word bitter itself. And the kind of definition is of bitter is kind of, being caught up on things that have happened in the past, still feeling upset or angry about things that have happened to you. And I'm thinking, why is that such a bad thing? Like, yeah, bad things have happened to me, so of course I'm going to be upset about it. Why? What's wrong with being bitter? I kind of hear this used as such a negative kind of word, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm bitter. Of course I'm bitter. And I think the phrase bitter woman is used as kind of a way to undermine women with opinions and undermine women who, have, you know, a clear mind, kind of clear on what they want. And I think the phrase bitter men, I feel like I don't hear that, but I hear bitter women quite a bit. So I think it's quite like a misogynistic phrase, to be honest. So I wanted to kind of turn it on its head and kind of reclaim it. And the title, I decided to make a question. Obviously, does this make me a bitter woman? Kind of saying, does all of this, fit what you want me to be? Does it make me, bitter, as like by your definition? Do you want to call me bitter after this? And the answer, honestly, I think is yes. I think if you listen to the EP and you know about the themes, then by definition, then yeah, probably does make me bitter. But I'm actually quite proud of that, because it means that I'm not kind of letting people walk all over me the way I feel I have in the past. And I'm kind of finding kind of the confidence to kind of speak about things that have happened to me. So yeah, does this make me a bitter woman? And the answer is yes, but I'll wear that like a badge of honor.
I could listen to this forever. Also, I'm a kind of a person who doesn't move on from things that happened to her. I always think about people who wronged me. I'm always thinking about situations that were either embarrassing or just like hurt me.
Yeah.
So I can really resonate with the EP. But um, how do you want listeners to feel after hearing the EP from start to finish?
I honestly want listeners to feel tired. I want you to feel like you've been through it, like, because that's how I feel. I I I want you to kind of feel the feeling that I've kind of put into it. Starting with the cult, it's quite like someone said it felt like they were getting like punched in the face, and I thought, yeah, you know what, hell yeah, let's go with that. You go through the cult, you go through Don't Tell My Boyfriend, you go through Inside Out, and then you get to She's Finally Lost, which is Lost It, which is like another kind of like, punch in the face. And then you go to It Won't Always Feel So Heavy, and it's kind of just like an emotional roller coaster. And I really want people to kind of feel that and experience that with me. But like as an ending feeling, I want people to feel empowered. I want them to feel strong, and I want them to feel confident. And I really hope that's how people feel after listening to the body of work.
Yeah, the first song I heard was "Don't Tell My Boyfriend" because I saw it like on TikTok, I fear,
Mhm.
and then I listened to the whole EP. I obviously, even when like album comes out or EP, I never skip like the singles or the songs that were out already. I just want to get like the full experience, and uh my favorite song is "She's Finally Lost It." I love that song so much. I can resonate with it so much. But the song ended and I was feeling like super like funny and hilarious and also like feeling myself, and then it won't always feel so heavy came up. And I listened
Yeah.
to the lyrics and I was like, you deserve jail time. Like, what the hell? I wanted to murder you. I was thinking about, like, what went through your mind to do this evil kind of thing? And then it won't always feel so heavy finished. And the cult came up again. And I was like, this is the end of me. I want to jump off that window right now.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, I wish I could say I'm sorry, but I'm just not. I think the contrast between the songs is what I love the most. I think especially that kind of those last couple of changes of like she's finally lost it to it won't always feel so heavy, and then it won't always feel so heavy back to the cult is just like it gives your heart a bit of a workout, and I honestly love that because that's how I feel kind of just generally as a person. Like I have so many moments where I'm feeling really like funny and strong and powerful. And then I have my down moments where I feel like shit. And then it goes back to kind of the good moments. So I feel like the way the EP kind of reflects that is something I'm quite happy with. I like it.
The EP's production as well feels so vibrant and polished. Can you share like who did you collaborate with and what was the experience like?
So I collaborated with two people on this EP. Mainly my main collaborator was Andy Gannon. He reached out to me about a year ago, and actually a year ago we wouldn't have met yet. So I've known him less than a year, which is absolutely insane because we spent so much time together creating this EP. And yeah, the first track we made together was Don't Tell My Boyfriend, and we made it in an afternoon. And after that, it was like, okay, yeah, this is good. This is a good collaboration. And it's been really great to work with Andy on the EP. I think we have such a similar kind of way of thinking, but also he keeps me focused because I have a tendency to kind of go off on a tangent or do things that are, kind of just a bit weird, to be honest, in terms of creating music. And he's the same. So we kind of like keep each other in check. So it's been great. And I don't think the EP would sound the way it does without Andy. And then on one track, Inside Out, I actually initially started writing this track with Manta, who is an artist himself. You should go check out his music. It's great. But we started writing this track a while ago, and then I kind of was listening to it and I was like, you know what, I think this might fit on the EP. And then me and Andy started working on it, and we ended up. I mean, it took a long time. Won't even go into that now. But Inside Out was such a difficult track to write. Um, but yeah, we finished it, Andy and I. So yeah, only two collaborators. That's collaborators. Yeah, that's the word. Only two collaborators on this EP. Three if you include me. But yeah, the production of the EP is insane. I'm obsessed with it, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
I'm obsessed as well. Because when I'm listening to music, obviously lyrics are so important, but also the production and the feelings you kind of put through either the musical instruments or effects or whatever. And I just really did appreciate how you guys made it, and I love it so much.
Thank you.
So the first track, we can go track by track because I feel like there's so much to talk about. The first track is The Cult, and you've received a lot of like backlash for that, especially like in the comment section. I
Oh yeah.
also commented under the cult. You posted like a reel or something, and there was this bitter man saying something about you should go back to kitchen or something like that.
Ugh.
Yeah. What was the creative process like? What's the story behind this? Share whatever you feel like about this track.
So yeah, this track is like an emotional roller coaster when you think about like writing it and then how it's been received. Obviously, you've seen kind of the online kind of part of it, but writing it was, I'll actually tell you what, we were writing it and we were actually very close to like kind of just abandoning it because we wrote for like hours on it, we created it, and we weren't really feeling it, and we were so close to just kind of tossing it aside and starting on a new track. But then I wrote the pre-chorus to it, um, and I was like, no, we need to finish this. Like, I love it. It's a really kind of empowering song. Where I'll talk about. I actually just realized I haven't said what it's about, but the cult is it's a complex one. I think it's about people who use their views and their power to kind of mistreat other people. And I think there's obviously a lot of different kind of references in there to kind of religion, kind of abortion, and like sexuality. Like there's a lot of different kind of commentary there. And it's all about essentially kind of questioning and, holding people accountable, those who may be using their beliefs to kind of oppress other people. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what it's about. Whilst on the surface, it seems more kind of like people often say, like, it's about religion. And I would actually argue that it's not. I would argue that it's about those people who use their beliefs to mistreat other people. It's not actually about, it's not actually about different religions. It's more about the people who use their beliefs to hurt other people. Kind of especially when it comes to areas like abortion, of course, that's a massive kind of theme in the second verse, and sexuality, and just kind of more generally, because when you look at religion, religion isn't about hurting other people. It's not about you know putting other people down. It's about like loving people and treating people fairly. Like regardless of what religion we're talking about, that is a common theme in every religion, is like loving everyone and being the best version of yourself. So it's quite frustrating when you see people kind of weaponizing religion and using it to hurt people, because that's not what you're meant to be doing. And that's essentially what the cult is about. It's kind of, yeah, commentary on that mindset that is just so wrong and so outdated and so kind of unfair to everyone involved. Yeah, that was a bit of a long answer, but essentially that is what the cult's about. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
It made a lot of sense to me because for me personally, this track is so important. I would play it in church, I would play it everywhere. It's so important, especially for me coming from a religious place. And obviously it is not just about religion, but for me it was about religion because in 2021 I went to a first pride walk with my best friend and my other friends, and I posted it on my Instagram, obviously, and I've received a lot of backlash for that and everything. And then I put like a Bible verse where it said that we should, like love each other. And I don't remember exactly what it was. I think I have it somewhere in archive, but I put it out there. And I used to go to like this young group of people who believed. And actually, since that then I stopped going there because they started to spread lies about me and saying that I keep, just started going to a cult or something like that. And I told them, your Jesus wouldn't, he would hate you if he heard what you're saying about other people, first of all. And second of all, who is really the cult here? Like, whenever I hear the song, I think about this youth group that I used to go to, and these people did not move or grow as people at all, which hurts me because it used to be such a safe space for me when I was younger, when I was
Mm.
like 12, 13. And it kind of changed since then, but I wouldn't change myself or the people I'm surrounded by anymore. And actually, these people were more welcoming than people who were saying that we should spread love and kindness and then go around and stab you in the back and spread lies about you. Obviously, so many other things happened, but especially about mostly this. So yeah, it really resonated. And when I talked with other people about their experiences with church and religion in general, and it just doesn't have to be about Christianity, as you said, but also other religion as well. Like, people are not welcomed at all, and that is bad. But this song can feel like a warm hug for these people who went through something similar.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. It's not, you know, nice to have a safe space turned into that. But I think, I'm glad to hear that it kind of provides some kind of like understanding and comfort, the song. Yeah, so I'm glad you like it.
I love it so much. um The next track is Don't Tell My Boyfriend. It has a playful yet edgy tone. What's the story behind this song as well?
So this song was obviously the first one on my EP. This song also got a fair bit of not hate, but it was a tad kind of controversial, and I actually really understand why. I think I don't blame people for kind of thinking, what the hell is this girl writing a song about? Um, I think on the surface it seems like, it's a song about kind of like enabling cheating, which it's not. I need to preface that at all. I do not condone cheating at all, and I would never kind of take part, in that. Um, but this song entirely is more. Essentially, the song is about how internalized homophobia in a relationship between two queer people can kind of, well, a queer relationship can feel like there's a third person present when internalized homophobia is there. And I kind of chose to represent this kind of third person as a boyfriend, purely for, the song purpose, because I don't think it would be as catchy if the third person was like a metaphor. Like if lyrically if it was a metaphor. But yeah, so it's kind of about how, internalized homophobia creates a disconnect between two people, and how it, is such a tricky thing to navigate because, whilst it may hurt the person who's kind of on the receiving end of it, like it's also hurting the person who's experiencing it. And it's creating this feeling of a third person in a relationship because, there's that disconnect. So that's what Don't Tell My Boyfriend is about. It's not about cheating, though I do understand why people might think that.
Whenever I hear this song, I cannot think about our Twitter interaction a few days ago, where you sarcastically tweeted about it being about cheating. And I promise, I knew from the start I am a sarcastic person myself, and I got that. But whenever I think about it, I just cannot stop laughing, and it's my favorite thing ever. So yes, it's not about cheating, obviously, but I can the tweet you said, like, oh my god, I was so scared you think that I am an asshole. Like, no, obviously. Even if you did cheat, I would support. No, obviously a joke, but no, like, I get it completely, and I cannot stop thinking about it most times.
I was honestly so scared. I was like, oh no. It's like, no, she's gonna think I'm the worst person ever. And I didn't think it through because obviously I was like, of course she knew this. Like, why was I even like worried if I knew she knew this? So yeah, no, that was so funny.
Yeah, I replayed just what? No, like question mark, anything, because I thought it would be funny, but then I didn't think it through as well. So yeah,
No, I loved it. Honestly, yeah, hilarious.
I love that tweet so much. I didn't screenshot it and you deleted it, but that should be like the pop culture kind of thing where people would talk about all the time because it was hilarious.
I feel like I might have screenshot it actually. If I did, I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much. The lyrics in Inside Out are deeply personal. Was it challenging to be so vulnerable?
Oh my god. Honestly, Inside Out, I have never found it so difficult to write a song in my life. It was which is insane when you like listen to the song compared to the other songs I've written, because it is not a complex song, like musically. It's just not compared to, for example, like The Cult has got so much going on instrumentally and instrumentation wise. And Inside Out is just like quite not basic. I don't want to call one of my songs basic, but you know what I mean. Like it's not musically complex, but it was so difficult to write because of the kind of emotion behind it and the feeling behind it. It took us This is the song that I started writing with Manta a while ago, and we kind of did a session on it and we left it. And then I picked it back up with Andy like a year later, and it took us God, I would say it took us like 4 or 5 months to actually write because we kept starting it and then we kept like hating it. I say we, it was me who was hating it. I feel so bad for Andy because I was constantly just hating everything that was like going on with the song. And we like decided, nope, we're just gonna leave it and we're gonna come back. We're gonna leave it, we're gonna come back, we're gonna leave it, we're gonna come back. And then we were getting close to the EP time, and I was like, no, I still want this on the EP, but it's like not written, let alone recorded and produced. So I ended up deciding, okay, it's not going to be on the EP. And then the second that like pressure came off, I sat down at the piano and I managed to finish writing it. And I texted Andy and I was like, okay, I know we said we're not putting this on the EP, but I've written it and I've decided that I want it on the EP. And yeah, so it took months to write just because of how emotionally taxing it was for me, because of the song, the themes. It was really difficult. And then when we come to the music video for that, that was even worse. Like that was just like so emotionally draining as well. Um so yeah, Inside Out was really, really difficult to write, but I'm glad that we got there in the end.
If you could pick like one lyric that was hard to put out or that you deeply resonate with, which one would you pick?
Ooh, from Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
Let me quickly pull the lyrics up on my phone. I feel like the lyric, you cut me right to the bone, but the blood on my hands is my own. I feel like that really resonates with me because it's kind of like saying, you know, you were the one who cut me, but like it's my fault. Like the blood on my hands, my own, because that's genuinely how I felt. I was being treated really bad by this person, and these people, and I was kind of going, you know what? Yeah, this is on me. I kind of deserve this. So I think, which is obviously not the case, but it was how I was very much feeling at the time. So I think that lyric is a really good representation. Yeah.
I love that so much, so much. And even though, as you said, like it may sound simple that your other songs, but it's so beautiful. And sometimes I think I'm so happy that you kept the simplicity and not like making a big ass production for that, because I think it would lose its value when I
Yeah.
would listen to this. So it's a really beautiful track and deserves better. My girl deserves better. It's such a good song.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think keeping it simple was the best way to go because I think we tried to be fancy with it and I just hated all of it. So we were like, okay, let's just stick with a guitar and a couple of drums here and there. Yeah, so it worked. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
Best decision ever. Of course.
Mhm.
She's finally lost it feels both raw and empowering. What emotions were you channeling when you wrote it?
So she's finally lost it is kind of about my experience. The things I was talking about earlier, kind of my bad experiences with older businessy kind of men in the music industry and kind of falling into what felt to me like a stereotypical like horror film of like, the dark side of the music industry. And the writing this EP was kind of like my first time coming properly back to music after my bad experience. And I was in the studio with Andy and we were trying to write something that was more kind of like a sad ballad about it. and it just wasn't working. And we go on a walk, and I'm he's like, "So what actually happened?" And I'm explaining everything that happened. And I said, "Oh my God," I was like getting really upset. I was like, "I feel like I am losing my mind, like talking about it, like, because everything that happened was so fucked up. But also, like, I feel like I'm the one who's going insane." And we got to the back to the studio and we were like, okay, let's switch this up. Let's like speed it up. Let's switch out the piano for some like crazy synth. And let's like lean into this feeling of feeling completely helpless and insane and upset. And I would say, yeah, like kind of like insane is the emotion I would say I was channeling in the end when we wrote it. And once we made that decision to kind of make it more of an upbeat, tongue in cheek, kind of like sarcastic, crazy song, that's when it really fell into place.
It won't always feel so heavy. Feels well, is obviously the best song on the EP. It's fan favorite as well. But what I like about this song, and that's why it's my favorite, because I do feel, especially at this age, like I am graduating high school this year. I am kind of just starting to like either figure myself out or do my stuff. And I feel like just the last 2 years, like ever since I was 17, I started to kind of think about what I want to do in life, but also realize that many people won't like me or what I do. And I don't want to sound like a pick me, but I'm trying to like do something different for people and on my platform or whatever. And it truly resonated with me because there's been some mean people who said that I cannot do it or whatever, and it happens a lot. And I'm that kind of person who gets her anger out a little bit more, and I say some pretty mean stuff sometimes, and I feel insane most times when it happens. So that's why this track is truly so special. And I don't hear many women talking about being insane to this point of view. I mean, they obviously like mention in the song that they're insane, but usually it comes with heartbreak or whatever. But
Mm.
this really is like a different complex of being insane, where it depends also on other people, but myself as well, where I don't know what I want to do with myself, or I don't know myself well even. So this is a beautiful track. I wish everyone listened to this because it's my favorite. Whenever I recommend songs or whatever, I always say like listen to this song.
Thank you. I'm so glad you like it. And I'm so glad it resonates. Because, like you said, I feel like it's kind of, for me, it feels like a different kind of perspective on like insanity. So, yeah, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that kind of likes it because of that.
And the last song is It Won't Always Feel So Heavy, which you've already shared, that is about eating disorder. And also I would love to talk about it more because I read either yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm not really good with time right now because I'm
Mhm.
pretty lost, but I read your Substract post and it was so beautiful. And I wish more people read it and listened to the song. But yeah, what does the song mean to you? What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so excuse me. Yeah, this song is very different to the rest of the songs on the EP. I didn't really write this like in a session in the studio. I kind of was sat and I was upset. I was feeling like I wasn't really making much progress with kind of my mental health, and I wasn't where I wanted to be. And people were kind of explaining, like saying to me, like, "Oh, one day, like it won't be so bad. Like it won't always feel so heavy." And I was sat there and I was really struggling to kind of understand that and see that like positive change on the horizon. I was thinking like, really? You're saying it's not gonna like always feel like this, but like I don't get it. I'm not like feeling that right now. And that's kind of when I sat down at the piano and I just wrote the lyrics like start to finish in about 40 minutes. And I didn't change the lyrics. Like I think maybe I changed one line just because it was like grammatically incorrect. but this song is so raw, and it's like the production on it again is something we did in an afternoon, and I was like, I don't want to change it. I don't want to improve it because it's not a single. It doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to be super like commercial. So I didn't have to kind of like change anything about it. I didn't have to shorten the chorus. I didn't have to shorten the verse. I didn't have to kind of change it to make it like so, so like appealing to people. So this song is like really authentic, and it's for the people who kind of listen to my other music and really want to, and the people who kind of listen to me and know me and understand the kind of my journey as a person, as an artist, and for the people who feel like they can kind of relate. This song is for those people, for the people who kind of aren't just listening to like, the TikTok songs, the songs that do well online, which in no way is that a bad thing. Thank God for TikTok and the people who listen to my music from TikTok. Wouldn't be anywhere without it. But this one is really for the people who want to kind of spend a bit longer just kind of getting to know me and feeling, those who feel like they kind of relate to me and my kind of journey and want to kind of, you know, feel understood. This song is for those people. And I feel like it's reached the right people. And it honestly really means the world to me that people do feel like that, because an it's such a kind of raw song. It's definitely not a perfect song. There's definitely things I could have changed about it to make it a better song. But yeah, for me, it's like really representative of kind of where my mind was at. And I love it. Yeah.
What was the best kind of reaction you got to the song or the story from a fan that really, really touched you?
Gosh, there's so many. I think the most touching thing is that people felt like they were able to share. I think that's a really important thing to me, because when I was, growing up, I felt like I couldn't share anything. So the fact that so many people feel like they can share, that that is really important to me, and that's what I always remember, is that people feel like they can share, and I hope people continue to feel like that. Um yeah, because that's one of the most important things to me, is that people feel strong enough to share, even kind of in the moments where they're not feeling so strong.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the song made me cry like insanely. And I talked with my friend Freya. You've met her, and
Yeah.
we talked about the song, and it resonated with both of us so deeply. And we were just talking about how beautiful of a song it is. And we are just so lucky to live in a world where artists, thankfully, are not scared to talk about topics like that, especially when they're so hard in so many ways. And um, so the topic is pretty clear. I don't think we need to talk about it more unless you want to add something to it.
No, I don't think I think, yeah, it's not exactly a subtle song, let's be honest. You know exactly what it's about from the start. Um, but yeah, I feel super lucky actually to kind of be an artist in a time where it's like people are kind of open to hearing songs about this. Because I think even like 10, 15 years ago, I feel like I wouldn't have had, the privilege that I do today to be able to talk about things like this. So yeah.
Did you receive like a message or something like that where it was hurtful that the other person didn't get the song on, or they said pretty mean stuff? And how do you think we can learn from that to be more empathetic toward not just this topic, but like hard topics in general?
I think in terms of this song, I don't want to jinx it, and I probably am going to jinx it, but I actually haven't received any kind of mean messages about this song, which I'm really grateful for. There's I will one day, I'm sure, um, and we'll we'll deal with that when it comes to it. But I think in other topics, like you said, like people's kind of opinions and kind of like hating on artists for certain kind of topics that I choose to talk about. Um, I actually really don't mind hearing people's thoughts about kind of things that I've written if it's like constructive kind of criticism. I really don't mind hearing it kind of if people are genuinely asking and questioning things because they want to know or because they think it might help them understand better. That doesn't bother me. I think what bothers me is when people are kind of disrespectful with it. Um, and I think there's a way to kind of ask your questions and share your opinions without being disrespectful, not only to the artist, but kind of the people who listen to the music and kind of relate to the music, especially when it's like difficult topics like thinking about like the cult or don't tell my boyfriend. I think there have been comments that have been criticism, but I've not minded them because they've been genuine questions and they've been people who are not trying to be mean, they're just trying to kind of understand. That I think is really good. When people have feedback, that is how I would like it to be like kind of put across. I hope more people kind of decide to kind of put a, put across their kind of feedback in a more empathetic way as opposed to just like leaving mean comments. Yeah, so I think that's what we can do is kind of we need to it's okay to kind of question things, I think. I can't speak for all artists, but I can speak for me. I really don't mind when people question the things I've written. Um, it's just kind of I think we need to make sure that we're nice about it, we're kind of expressing these thoughts without kind of hurting each other.
Thank you for sharing the opinion about the constructive criticism. I think it's so important to learn how to criticize some things, and obviously putting out questions about either songs or writing or whatever. And I think that's what we lack, the lack of knowing how to put out words out there and ask questions and criticize some things, because with the AI involving and all that kind of stuff, I think we kind of forgot how to speak to each other, and we're using all these amazing tools. By the way, they're so helpful, especially for school when I don't know how to write an email that wouldn't be too embarrassing or whatever. It's an amazing tool, but also we sometimes use it for bad purposes, and we are
Mm.
not using our minds and critical thinking skills, which is sad. But yeah, I think this was so important to say out loud.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to like you say, like AI can be such a good tool, but I think maybe some of us have kind of forgotten how to not communicate, but we've forgotten kind of how to talk in a kind way to each other. I think it's such a simple thing to do to kind of speak kindly and respectfully. Um, and I think, yeah, maybe we just need to kind of circle back and kind of remember how to do that, especially on the internet.
Period. Are there any hidden meanings or Easter eggs in the songs that fans might not immediately notice?
I was thinking about this and I was going through my songs and I actually don't think there is. I think a lot of what I say is either said kind of straight up, so there's not much interpretation, or it's written in a metaphor that is like a neat, like a deep metaphor that requires quite a bit of explanation. But in terms of Easter eggs, I actually don't think there is. I think I wear my heart on my sleeve with my songs, and think I d I don't think I've ever kind of really put an Easter egg in because I just wanna say exactly what I'm thinking.
I love that, because so many people use the Easter eggs to kind of either hint something or talk about other projects as well in the future. but I like the point of view where you actually like want to say something and you will say out loud, because I feel we kind of lost track of saying things out loud, and we'd rather say white lies or go around it. But sometimes it's important to say things as they are. So I really do appreciate that. This is actually like a whole different point of view as when I met with other artists as well.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I love a good Easter egg. Like when people, like when I hear it in other artists, like I go crazy for it. I love it. I'll spend ages going through like the theories of, what it could mean. So I love when other artists do it. I just think for me, it's not kind of that's not really like where I kind of want to go with my writing. But I love when other artists do it. Yeah, I think it's great. But just for me with my writing, because I think I love just like word vomiting. I think I don't really leave much space for Easter eggs. So even if I wanted to, I don't think there's anything left to like put in Easter eggs because everything I want to say, I just say.
What's your favorite lyric or lyrics in plural from the EP, and why does it stand out for you?
I think my favorite lyric from the EP. This is such a hard question. I think I think there's I've narrowed it down to like two in my head. The first one is the pre-chorus of She's Finally Lost It. So, of course I lost my head. I'm a tragedy on legs or a spectacle at best. I love that lyric. I'm not gonna lie, I was really pleased with myself when I came up with it. I really like the imagery, like between like losing your head, a tragedy on legs, and then being a spectacle. It's just really it's messy, and I feel like it reflects the feeling of the song really well. And then my second is the last two lines in the bridge of "It Won't Always Feel So Heavy." Um, it is how does it go? Oh yeah. Um, wait. Trying to remember. Oh yeah, the battle ruined me, and I can't change the fact it happened, but I'll be damned to give the memory that same satisfaction. I love the lyric. I think it makes me feel really powerful. It really makes me feel like I'm kind of taking control and not letting kind of these things, kind of hold me back. So yeah, I'd say those two lyrics are some of my favorites of the EP.
I love them as well. And it's from my favorite songs from the EP, so I definitely agree. If you said like my favorite lyric is the full song, I would completely agree because all of them are amazing.
Thank you.
How has your perspective on relationships and identity evolved through the process of making this EP?
I think the I think what's evolved the most is kind of like my relationship with myself. I think because the EP is so personal and whilst there are tracks that, are about other people, it's very much like an internal kind of reflection on me, each of the songs. It's all about me, not in a selfish way, but all the songs are kind of like all about the way I feel. And I think by writing about these things, I've really kind of learned how I truly feel about these things and how I feel about myself because of these things. And I've also really learned what my limits are in terms of kind of like emotional exploration. Like when I was writing Inside Out, I didn't know that that would affect me so much. And I didn't realize, how I was, you know, feeling about it. And I think I kind of have realized my limits. I think writing Inside Out was pushing pretty close to my limits, and I have learned kind of how much I can take and how much I kind of want to put myself through. So I'd say that's kind of the biggest kind of like relationship change is just like my relationship with myself.
That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I definitely can see or feel it as well when listening to this EP when it's not really about me and other people, but it's mostly about myself and what I go through. And that's what I like about it. Because obviously, heartbreaking songs are pretty popular and good, and I love them. I love me some Olivia Rodrigo kind of heartbreak
Yeah,
song, but also it's important to talk about ourselves as well and our feelings. So I definitely appreciate that a lot.
thank you. Yeah, I think, yeah, you mentioned Olivia Rodrigo. I love Olivia Rodrigo so much. You know what? She's come because yeah, that was definitely English. She's coming back to Manchester to do two shows because of her tour last year. They couldn't do the Manchester shows because the venue was like an air conditioner fell from the ceiling. It was a whole thing. But she's coming back to do her two Manchester shows, and I have my heart set on opening for her. And I don't know what in hell makes me think that I would be chosen, but I'm thinking like I'm a Manchester artist, like I'm a pop artist. But yeah, I love Olivia Rodrigo so much. So thank you for mentioning her. I love being able to talk about Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh my god, I love this. Can we do like something about it? Like, can we spam comments or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know. We've got quite a while. It's not till the summer, so we've got time to figure it out, but like it's always in the back of my mind.
Oh, we definitely can do that. I would die. I would make everything in my power to be there, especially since it's like, during summer and I would be free. I would die. That would be
Oh my
amazing.
God, that would be so cool.
And if we're talking about other inspirations, do you have like other inspirations or idols in the music industry?
Yes, I honestly could sit here and I could list all of the artists that I love and take inspiration from for hours. Like, one of my favorite artists is Tate McRae, which is really interesting because my music doesn't sound anything like Tate McRae's music, but I just love her, so I had to mention. It's got nothing to do with like my music, but I just had to get it in there. But I think like sonically and lyrically, I take a lot of inspiration from kind of like the early 2000s, like British female singer songwriters, like Kate Nash, Eliza Doolittle, Lily Allen, Paloma Faith. Yeah, Paloma Faith is one of my favorite people ever. I just love her. I don't know her personally, but I absolutely love her. And I take a lot of inspiration from kind of those female artists of like the early 2000s who were kind of pushing their music and their lyricism to kind of like new limits. That was back in the early 2000s. I it was, I think, probably a lot more daring than it would have been today. Like, these are like strong women who kind of write exactly what they want to without kind of like conforming to the industry kind of standards. So I take a lot of inspiration from that because they're the artists I listened to growing up. And I think now that I'm in the music industry, I appreciate them more than ever before. Um, so yeah, I'd say that like that's my main inspiration is from these women from the early kind of 2000s.
I can like definitely see that. I honestly was a little surprised about the Tate McRae um because her music is a little different from like the other people, and your music is also different from hers, but I can see like why do you like her. And I love her honestly so much as well. I could sit here and talk hours about her and other artists as well. So thank you for sharing that. And definitely, I hear some 2000 kind of vibes, and I love 2000 music. I was obviously not alive then. Um,
Yeah,
I was
neither, but
born. I was born 6 years later, but still, I love it so much. I always vibe with my mom, and we're like, yeah, like that's hella cool. Do you have any favorite albums from?
oh yes. So my favorite, probably the album I listened to loads when I was growing up was Eliza Doolittle's first album. Like from was it? Let me find the date super quick. but my mum had it in CD on in the car, and it was okay 2010, so actually not that early, but still a while ago. We had that on CD in the car, and we listened to it over and over. And then like Lily Allen's first album from I want to say 2006. I don't quote me on that. That might be wrong. And then Paloma Faith's first album from 2009, I think. Like, yeah, they're essentially like the debut albums from each of these women. Like, I just love. Like, I listened to them so much growing up, and then I rediscover them now that I'm older. And I love them so much. I think there's so much range, and they're amazing. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Well, my favorite album is Beth McKenzie's first album that is coming out very soon, hopefully. I don't know if you know her, but yeah, I'm just feeling it will be amazing.
Yeah, no, I don't know who that is actually. So.
Yeah, who that is, we don't even know. Um, you also started Substract, which I just want to like quickly talk about because I love your writing so much. As someone who loves writing as well and loves to voice my opinions very loudly, how did you came up with kind of writing and doing this?
So I think because I love writing so much, I feel like if I wasn't a musician, that would be my job. Something in writing, or maybe business, or write. Yeah, writing. I love writing so much, and I think I wasn't familiar with Substack, to be honest. I'd heard people talk about it, but I was like, I'd written this piece on eating disorder recovery accounts, and I spent quite a while on it over like the last couple of weeks over Christmas, because I think it's something that's been like weighing on my mind for a long time, and I wanted to kind of just write out what I was thinking. And then everyone was like, "Oh, just use Substack," and I was like, "Okay." So now it's on Substack. But yeah, I absolutely love writing, and I definitely will be writing more on Substack.
Yeah, I'm so excited for whatever you're gonna write because it was very inspiring and I will share everything. Um, Whatever you can say, you don't have to say anything at all if you don't want to, but obviously New Year is here. Do you have any plans for New Year's, as in, I don't know, live performances or music, or did you start something? You don't have to say if you don't want to, but you can share whatever you like.
So but I'm definitely not slowing down. I'm doing a lot, and I'm absolutely loving it. I have so much planned for this next year. I'm Obviously I'm still writing. I can't wait to show people new music. I don't want to put out music too soon though, because I want people to continue to enjoy the EP. Um, but yeah, definitely lots of new music, and I'm really focusing on live shows this year. Because I now that I've got a project out, I am really ready to kind of perform it as a project. So obviously I've got the Pop Girlies gig on the 1st of April. Not April, what? That's not right. The 1st of February. Um, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then hopefully I would love to, well, you already know what I want to do in the rest of February and March. Um, and yeah, just loads and loads of live this year, because I'm just so excited to perform my set. I've spent ages kind of curating it, and I'm really proud of it. So I can't wait for people to see it. So yeah, new music and live. That's what you can expect from me over this next year.
I'm so excited. I'm so ready. And if we talk about live performances, I spent actually before like recording this 2 hours. I spent like going through her comments and liking every single comment that mentioned you. And there's quite a few, so a lot actually. So I think we can make it work.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm manifesting so hard. I bought candles yesterday. I
Oh
am
my god, it's so on.
I am doing my witchcraft today, and I will be praying to every single possible mystery thing that exist or doesn't exist even. I don't care. I just need this to happen so bad. So I hope everyone else would manifest with me as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting curses on everyone as we speak. So it will, yeah, hopefully our, yeah, hopefully we'll just manifest it. It'll happen. It'll happen. It's gonna happen.
And the last question I always ask everyone, it's not really a question, it's more of like, you, if you want to, you can share like a little message to all of the other small artists or aspiring artists, or just someone wanting to do their thing. Just like a little message, whatever you want to say. This is your time and space to do so.
Okay, so I want to remind people how valuable they are. Like, especially coming into the music industry, you need to remember how important you are and how valuable you are. Do not forget your worth because undoubtedly you will come across people who kind of don't want you to feel don't want you to feel powerful, but you are powerful. And that's my biggest advice is to stand your ground, remember that you are strong, and yeah, take don't take crap from anyone. Like you deserve much better than that. That is my best advice is to, yeah, remember your strength.
That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I hope everyone who heard this is inspired and loved and supported. And
Yeah.
that's what really it's about, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Thank you for spending time with me. So much time, but I enjoyed this so much. This was so fulfilling for me as well. As I said, I love doing this because I can educate other people, but myself as well in so many aspects. And this has been a very kind and nice conversation.
Yeah, I've loved it so much. I've just looked at the time. I can't believe we've almost been talking for 2 hours. That's insane. But honestly, I loved it so much. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this so much and it did not disappoint. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm so glad I did not, because I'm always so scared to not talk anymore. I kind of like overcome that fear, but I just don't want people to have high expectations of that, because this is like not professional at all. But I just want people to feel comfortable, so I hope it was okay.
Oh, it's great. Honestly, the podcast is great. You should be so proud of yourself for it. Like 100%. It's great.
Thank you. I hope we can chat soon when your other songs or project comes out, and I'm sure it will be as fulfilling as this one. This was very special, and thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for spending a Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever you're listening to this with us, and hopefully see you next week.
Woo!